Sheila ma'am, our section heads, teachers, parents, and our lovely dear students. A very, very good morning, and we really appreciate your efforts to be with us in this masterclass through the webinar. We're going to be giving you a lot of information on the etiquettes and cyber safety when we are studying remotely or we're learning through. Okay, so today we along with Dr. Zeenath Khan, who is coming to us, who is holding a session along with us, and she is holding a session from the University of Wollongong in Dubai, and she is the head of the Technology and Integrity in Academia and Beyond Research Group, and she is an assistant professor in Faculty of Engineering and Information Sciences. A very, very strong and eminent personality to teach and guide everybody of us in the ethics of cyber safety. So, all to you, Zeenath ma'am, and we all welcome you on behalf of entire ASPAM to conduct an informative session for our little ones. Zeenath ma'am.
एक सेकंड
Morning, ma'am.
Can you hear me? Should I start?
Yes, ma'am, you can start.
You may.
Yes, ma'am.
Great.
Ma'am, can you hear me? Morning, ma'am.
All right. So, good morning, everyone. It is great to be conducting this masterclass on behalf of the University of Wollongong in Dubai. I'm quite excited to be talking to children from grade 3 all the way to grade 6. So it's quite a range, and I think it's going to be an interesting session. Thank you, Swapna ma'am, for of course introducing me. Thank you to all the children who are here and attending today. We've got children, of course, from Aspen School. We've got children from Dubai, Sharjah, Abu Dhabi. We've got some children outside of UAE as well who've joined us today from Australia and India. My name is Zeenath, as Swapna ma'am has introduced, and I'm actually currently teaching at the University of Wollongong in Dubai. I hope to be able to complete some of these topics today that I've put up in front of you. A bit about me. I've been actually teaching at the university for almost 20 years. And I love talking about cyber ethics, particularly cyber safety, particularly for students. I have children of my own, and I always want to ensure that children know how to protect themselves online. So it's great to be here. Once again, just resonating what ma'am has said, if everybody could please make sure you keep your mics muted at all times. I will be talking. If anytime you have to give a feedback, please put it on the chat. Do not unmute your mics, okay? All right, great. So something I started doing about 2 months ago since we started remote learning, I always make sure I start with a question, how are you doing today? And the reason I do that is because we are all social distancing. We are all away from each other, especially with children. I know how much you guys love being in school, being with friends, having a lot of fun, of course, and studying. So it's very important that whenever you meet someone online, the first thing you do is ask each other, how are you doing today? We want to be safe physically, of course, but we also want to be sure that we are happy here and here. So I hope everyone is doing well, and we are all set to start the session for today. So have a look at this house, right? What I want to do quickly is just tell you guys why you're attending this session today. Would you like to live in this house? On the chat, please say yes or no. Do not unmute your mics. On the chat, say yes or no. Yes, lots of yeses. I would too, right? Such an amazing house. It's got so many windows. It looks like it's got a patio with some garden, and it looks like it's got a chimney, something we don't get to see a lot in UAE, right? So awesome. It's something definitely we would want to see, live in, sure. But what if I told you it didn't have any windows? It didn't have any windows, but it was open and anybody could get in through those spaces. It was a big hole. Would you still like to live in that house? Okay, the answer has suddenly changed to a big no. What if I told you next that this house had key which was with so many people other than just your parents? Random people had the key to the house. Would you still like to live in that house? No, the no's are becoming bigger. Okay. What if I told you there were people digging from outside to get into your house from underground? Would you still want to live in that house? Oh, look at the no's. Somebody said yes, but most are saying no's. How about if there were random people you knew could come in and out of this house at any time, take things from you, harm you? Would you still live in this house? Exactly. It's absolutely that. You wouldn't want to live. As nice as that house looks, you wouldn't want to live in there because you wouldn't find it to be safe. Now, the internet is very similar to that house. The internet is fun, it's amazing, it's a great place to be at because, of course, you're able to talk to your friends, watch movies, play games, of course, attend classes. So there's all these amazing things that are happening on the internet. But there are also dangers that are online and what we call security holes. That happens again because there are people who are bad and who have bad intention. So then it becomes very important that you understand what the dangers are and how to protect yourself. And that is why you're attending this session today. So hopefully by the end of today's session, you will have some idea, not a lot because it's a small master class, some idea about what the kind of dangers are out there and how to protect yourself. So classes are online, schools are closed. Of course, everyone is sort of happy, sort of not happy. Happy because, of course, you're not getting up early in the morning. You may not, have that long hours of classes, right? Of course, you're staying home and you're learning online. So it's a lot of fun. You've got a lot of device time. You're online. Maybe your parents have gotten you a device of your own, or you're getting to finally share your older siblings' laptop or your dad or mobile phone, right? So all of that kind of makes schooling fun. Or of course you miss your friends, you miss being canteen time, hanging out, playing outdoors. So all of that is also there. That definitely you have a problem there as well, right? So staying home, learning online is fun. Not going to home, not so much fun as well. But the reason why we want to have this session and we want to talk to you children is that the more you're online, the more, remember that house with no windows and people have keys to get in. So the more there are chances that you will face problems. Now, you're all, of course, using a lot of different devices to be online. Let's say tablets, mobile phones, PCs, laptops. Some of you may be sharing devices with your siblings. Some of you may be, sometimes using your parents' devices. Some of you may actually even be, who knows, using your parents' mobile. But overall, using some kind of device today to actually be attending this webinar. So what is so interesting to know about these devices? Currently, if you look at the number of participants in this webinar, we have 183 people who are attending this particular session. Worldwide, everywhere in the world, there are more than 20 billion devices devices that are connected. Can you imagine that number? 20 billion. Do you know what that would look like if you have to try putting all of those devices in a same room or same house? Possible. So there are a lot of devices that are connected to the internet. Now, the more devices that are connected, that means there are more people that are connected, and that means there's a lot of information. Even the chatting that you're doing online, all of that is with people, right? So there is a lot of information. There's a lot of places that you can go to on the internet, and it's all there at the tip of your fingertips. Now, of course, there's good sides to the technology. Technology is helping us tremendously. Look at us today. There are 181 of us, and we are sitting at our homes and we are attending a session. That's amazing, right? Some of you may be in Dubai, some of you may be in Sharjah, some of you may be in Ajman, out of UAE, but you're able to attend. So technology is fantastic because it helps us. How does it help us? Think about hospitals, right? All the vaccination
Disconnected.
it is there because people have been able to find vaccinations, right? A lot of technology actually now is there, which actually helps scientists to come up with these discoveries. And we hope very soon somebody will come up with a good discovery for COVID-19. There are mobile apps these days that doctors will use to try and help diagnose when you go to a doctor what is wrong with you. If a person is missing an arm or a leg, are now what is called prosthetic limbs, which to the point now we are getting to a point where they may attach to the brain so the brain can control them. So the technology is helping amazingly when it comes to, say, hospitals and medicine. Right? Then there is, of course, your schools. It is, of course, helping education. Look at us today, right? All the technology that you're using, the internet is there, accessible to us. So we are being able to, use that platform so that you can continue to learn, attend classes, do exams, read, watch YouTube videos. Currently, my daughter has taken up a passion of learning to code, and she's been learning Java and JavaScript on her own. And she, in fact, uses the Khan Academy, YouTube, to watch certain videos so she can learn more. So there's always all these amazing things that are out there that are helping you learn because of technology. At the same time, we also have technology that's helping us with transportation. Think of the Dubai Metro. Again, how many of you know that Dubai Metro not mute? In the chat, how many of you know that the Dubai Metro is driverless? That many. It's driving itself. And the reason it's able to do that is because of the tremendous amount of technology that we have today.
Ma'am.
What's more, have you guys, many of you may have heard of Tesla. Tesla is a company that makes cars that drive themselves.
Ma'am, no.
Computer. There's a computer in the car that will drive the computer. So people don't need to drive those cars. They are called autonomous cars. We hope pretty soon in the UAE, we will have something called the Lube. That is supposed to take you from to Abu Dhabi minutes. Can you imagine that speed? Going from Dubai to Abu Dhabi in 12 minutes. That's called a hyperloop. I'm sure many of you have heard of the drone taxis that UAE has been wanting to introduce, where people can actually hire a drone, get in using their tablet, and tell the GPS where it wants to go, and the drone is going to take them. There are companies which are using drones now to transport and deliver pizzas. So again, transportation is another area where amazing things have happened because of the internet and because of technology. So we know technology is good. It is giving us a lot of area where we can do a lot of good for people. But it's not always all good. Technology is good as long as you know how to use it well. When you don't use it well, it starts to become bad. I've given a very simple cartoon, if you see it on your screen, where it shows in 1990, the TV was called the tube TV, what you can see behind. It was bigger in the back, and the person standing next to it was quite thin. By 2011, our devices have become thinner and slimmer, but people are gaining weight. The reason being, we are constantly sitting in front of devices. We are constantly in one place. We are not exercising enough. We're not going outside enough. So it's not the technology, it's the way we are using the technology that is making this difficult for us. More, have a look at some of these images, right? You come home, you have your online classes, and then the moment you're done, you then start going back onto your devices to play games, to watch movies, to chat with your friends. Sometimes your parents do it. They're home, they're constantly on the phone or they're on the laptop, they're busy working. And then you may have younger siblings, brothers or sisters, who may be 2 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, who may already be sitting on tablets, phones, and of course, laptops. So again, if you're constantly on devices, that is also not good. You may think you're doing good, but the longer time you spend, the more health problems you might start facing. Okay? That was the good and the bad side. And then technology actually then has an ugly side. Okay. Somebody has requested me on the chat to request everyone to kindly please stop chatting. That's a very good suggestion. Thank you so much. So only when I ask you to, please do put in your chats. Otherwise, please focus on what I'm talking about. It is very important. Like I told you at the beginning, you don't want to be in a house that does not have a lock or a key and that has people constantly coming and going. You want to know how to protect yourself. And yes, you might be just children from grades 3 to 6, but trust me, there's plenty that you can do to protect yourself. Okay, so the ugly side of technology, all this cyberspace, the internet that we've been talking about, the technology that you're using is good, but it stops being good and nice when people stop being good and ethical, right? So what do I mean by that? I'm going to talk about 3 specific things, and the first of that is called identity theft. Identity is your name, who you are, where you live, your mobile number, your parents' mobile numbers, credit card details, apartment numbers. All of these are called your information, and these are private information. All right, I'm going to just once more request everyone to kindly mute yourselves.
Zeenath ma'am, sorry to interrupt in between.
Yes.
Ma'am, just is there any option that we can mute up everybody? Is there any
I'm
option?
doing that, but unfortunately, they're going back and unmuting themselves. That's
Okay. Just one moment, children. I think we can see the chat here, and I think more than focusing on the session, we are focusing on chatting and making others stop. Everything begins with us, our own self. So let us ourselves stop chatting and follow Zeenath ma'am's session and instructions. She's just told you to put your answers there in your chat. Okay? Requesting everybody to please follow ma'am's instructions. Ma'am, back to you, please.
Thank you so much. So identity theft is when either you give out your information to somebody or somebody very sneakily gets that information out of you. And it is quite dangerous. I'll show you how in the later slides. So it is very important to understand this is something real that happens constantly and all around us, right? Let's start with your password. Typically, children will use very simple passwords such as 1234 or your birth dates. Now, think about all the people who know your birth date. Let's start, of course, with your parents, your brothers and sisters, your cousins, your family members, your relatives, maybe your neighbors, and everyone in your class. How? Remember, you celebrate your birthday with your classmates, correct? You take chocolates maybe some days you do parties or you take sweets. Everybody knows your birthday, right? A lot of people know your birthday. So it's very important to understand birthdays cannot be passwords. It's when you have these common passwords that other people who are not good and who want to do bad will have access to your password, will be able to figure out what your password is. And what do you think they will do with that information? They could use your email address to start sending nasty emails to other people. You will get into trouble because it was coming from your email address. Similarly, if you make accounts online, people could easily access those accounts, right? So passwords is something that you have to be very, very protective of so that people are not able to figure out what your password is. So strong passwords, and that's why typically you will see there is always an advice. Use numbers, use characters, don't just use alphabets. Do not use your name, do not use your date of birth, do not use your mom's name or your dad's name or your pet's name. These are all things that people know and can figure out. Okay? Imagine this scenario. Somebody calls you or tells you on email or through a chat program that you're getting a gift. Can you give us an address? A lot of children, a lot of students from the ages of grades from 3 to 6, particularly, will start sharing their details because they get happy. Wow, look at this. I've won something. I'm getting a gift. Of course, I will give you this information. If, say, for instance, at some time, your teacher tells you to go to a particular site and access a particular resource, right? You go to that site. Now, all websites will always try to get your personal information. Always. Why? Because the more personal information they collect, the more they can send you advertisements and make money. So most of the time, you don't need to actually register on a website to access the free resources that your teachers might be asking you to access. So anytime a website has a pop-up and tells you register, you need to talk to your parents before you go and register. Because the moment you register, it means you're giving your mobile number, you're giving your email address, you may be giving your home address. Some might even ask for credit card numbers, and you may know what your parents' credit card numbers is, and the tendency might be to then start giving that credit card number to the website. So these are things that you have to be very careful about, because this is how people who are bad, who want to do harm, will have access to your personal information. And with that, there have been cases where babies have had credit cards on their name because somebody actually stole that baby's identity and got a credit card. There have been cases where there are actual legal cases against children's names, because children have been online using their parents' phones, using their parents' credit cards to play games online, and people have stolen their information and they have done things on the internet, which has then caused the police to actually file a case against those people. Now, the people don't get into trouble because they stole the children's names and identity. So it's the children whose names then get into trouble. So identity theft is a big problem, and children are one of the biggest targets on the internet for thieves who are trying to steal identity. What's more, you might be thinking, no, I'm so smart, I'm not going to give out my information. Think about the number of times you have taken a selfie or you have done a photograph where you have shown the peace sign. What's interesting to know, there's technology out there that could take that photo and actually take your fingerprint from there. This was first discovered in 2014, then 2017, then 2018, and there have been enough studies now that show that actually sharing that kind of an image can allow somebody to steal your fingerprints. And your fingerprint, again, is very much a part of your identity. Okay, of course, you could also do what Justin Bieber does and show a peace sign on the opposite way to be sicko. The next thing that I want to talk to you guys about is called cyber stalking. Imagine you made a friend online. Okay, let's say you're on Facebook or whatever social media that you or your parents allow you to use, right? And you have made a friend. You don't know her. She has approached you. She said she's one of your friends, sisters or friends, neighbors, or a cousin. And you started chatting with this person. You've become very good friends
Ma'am, are you
online.
there?
You've told them, yes, we are all here. You've told them where you live, where your house is, which building, all of that. And then given, because, COVID-19, you're home, you're bored, you don't want to stay home anymore, your 15-year-old friend tells you, hey, come downstairs, let's meet. Majority of the time, when children have made friends like this online, those girls have not actually even been 15-year-old girls, but people, grown-ups, who are targeting children. And this is called cyber stalking. And this happens a lot, particularly when children online are playing games. I've seen a lot of messages where people have said Fortnite is great, Fortnite is fun. Sure, it might be fun, but games like Minecraft, Fortnite, even Crunker are very, very popular areas because you play online with other people and you don't know who's on the other side, that children start talking to and becoming friends with people they don't know, and they become victims of cyber stalking. I'm going to just stop sharing for a minute. I'm going to share a video and then I'll come back to this. Okay.
This was a sting operation that caught a lot of parents' attention. Predators using popular games to lure kids into dangerous situations. So we asked the world's most popular gamer about it, and if your kids don't always listen to you, maybe they're going to listen to him.
If you don't recognize the colorful hair or the excited laugh,
Are you serious? Yeah.
your kids probably will. This is Tyler Blevins, better known as Ninja Online. He's the most famous Fortnite player in the world.
Rockets early game!
While he's streaming to millions of fans, a lot of times he's also giving other players important advice.
You don't know this person, so don't trust them. Don't give them any personal information.
Those words after a recent undercover investigation in New Jersey netted 24 arrests.
So that small video clip actually shows you how serious cyber stalking actually is, particularly when it comes to online gaming. And online games are a crucial area where all these grown-ups who are really bad people because they've got very bad intentions with children, who are on these games and who start making friends, and then they start stealing your identity. These things have led to, for instance, children being kidnapped, children be getting into a lot of serious harm and trouble because of cyber stalking. So this is something you should take seriously. Yes, these games are of course fun to play, but can be extremely dangerous.
Ma'am, sorry for interrupting you.
Yes.
Ma'am, I want to say you something that everybody is simply chatting and for no reason the chatting box is opening.
Maybe this is a good time to also learn to, practice focus. It's okay they're chatting. If it is not important, you focus on the session, okay?
Yes, ma'am. But if we are chatting, then they are they're interrupting me. It's
You
like,
don't get interrupted. You keep listening. You don't read the chat, okay?
okay,
Ma'am,
ma'am.
if they
Okay. The other area, of course, is things like TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. So there are a lot of areas where grown-ups are looking to steal children's identity, to stalk them, and then to harm them. So as children of ages between about 6 and 8 to all the way up to about 14, 15, you have to be extremely careful about who you meet online, who you share your details with, if it's somebody you know or somebody you don't know. Big difference, and it makes a huge difference in your safety. The last thing that I'm going to talk about is cyberbullying before I go into how you can protect yourself. So cyberbullying, a lot of you may know what bullying is. Maybe you've heard the term cyberbullying. The idea is when people are being mean to you guys online. And sometimes it's not grown-ups anymore who are being mean. It's other children who are being mean to each other. And that's called cyberbullying. Right? Look at these behaviors that I have put up there. You will know what I'm talking about when I say what is cyberbullying. Trolling, posting insulting messages about someone online. That's called cyberbullying. Okay, abusing, when you're playing online games, using abusive or bad words. That's called cyberbullying. Just going to quickly mute everyone again. Okay, flaming, which is sending messages so that people start fighting with each other. That's called cyberbullying. Okay. Publicly sharing someone else's information without their permission. This could be a photo, a video you've taken, or even taking a screenshot of a class where you have all your friends without telling your teacher and without taking permission. Catfishing, where you're using fake profiles to trick people to become friends. Remember that example that I just gave you about a 15-year-old girl? That's called catfishing. When somebody creates a fake profile online to become friends, saying they are somebody who they are not. Okay, seeing each other. Strapping, which means logging into somebody else's profile and posting as them. So imagine somebody logs into this webinar, but with somebody else's name. That's called frapping. Then roasting, something I know children love to do, but please understand, as fun as it might seem to you, the person who is actually getting roasted, it's not a pleasant feeling. And when you do it online, it's actually called cyberbullying. Cyberbullying takes place in a variety of areas, using a variety of devices, phones, through emails, text messages, social media, computers, YouTube, tablets. And what's even more interesting, 97% of children between ages 13 to 24 have actually been cyberbullied online. And only 10% of children come back and admit that they have been bullied. Problem is, when somebody is being bullied, when you're being mean to someone, they get very depressed, they stop studying, they stop eating. It can have very physical impact on the children who are being bullied. Okay, being mean physically, when you're in a physical space, is something we can see.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Parents and teachers can sometimes just jump in and help the child. But when cyberbullying happens online, it's cyberbullying, all the time, no grown-up will know that this child is being bullied. And that can lead to the child being very, very alone, feeling very, very, very isolated. Yes, somebody's been asking a question?
Yes, ma'am, it's Kasi.
Yes, Kasi.
Ma'am, what's the meaning of cyber? Cyber means online, right?
Cyber means the online space on the internet. Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Okay, good. That was a good question. Okay. Now, what is also very important for you to understand is that in the UAE, if anyone, and it doesn't matter who it is, if somebody is accused of cyberbullying, they can face 6 months of jail, 150,000 dirhams fine. So if you're about to roast someone online, if you're about to use somebody else's account to send an email or send a message on their behalf, or pretend to be somebody else online, that is a crime, a legal crime in the UAE. So please understand, the country that we are in actually takes this very, very, very seriously. Okay? Cyberbullying can have very detrimental impact on children. Children as young as 5, 6, 7 have complained of psychological problems, of depression, because they've been bullied by their classmates. Not older children, classmates. Okay? Even if you're a child and somebody reports that you are cyberbullying somebody online, you could go to jail, you could face fines. Please understand, this is very, very, very serious. Okay, so now, before I go ahead and give the safety tips, Ms. Swapnaja, would we like to take some questions?
Yes, ma'am. How would you like me to help you in this? We can ask the students to ask to unmute, or in the chat we will take them.
Maybe if they type in the chat, the older children and the younger ones can unmute their mics one at a time.
No
Ma'am,
problem. Students, we will give you a chance after we see your hands raised. Kindly keep your hands raised. I will guide Zeenath in getting the question and will answer you.
Ma'am,
Go ahead, please.
ma'am, for me the
nothing
camera is
like,
not working.
ma'am, the chat box is so interrupting me that, ma'am, is there any option to disable the chat, because always the sound is coming and I'm so I got irritated for that
No
sound.
problem. You don't focus on the chat, okay? You focus on the session. Now, I see Arundhati had raised her hand. Do you have a question, Arundhati?
No, ma'am.
Anybody else has a question before I go ahead with the tips?
Ma'am,
Irina raised her hand. Irina,
ma'am,
one at a time. Yes? Please introduce yourself and ask the question.
I don't have any questions. Everybody be quiet.
Sorry. Excuse me, ma'am. Krishna.
Sorry, I did not understand that question.
Excuse me, ma'am, I'm Dhruti. I actually the video which excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Excuse me, ma'am. Somebody, ma'am, somebody wrong.
Sorry, we can't hear you, and you're all unmuting your mics. Very difficult to understand the question. I will continue with the session and we'll try and come back to text at the end again. Okay? Kindly please stay, keep your mics muted. I will continue with the session now. So now, how do you keep yourself safe? We've talked about what can happen. We've talked about how dangerous everything can be online. So let's talk about now how you can keep yourselves safe. Okay, I have what is called the small tips. First, be smart. Only share information with family and very, very close friends. That's it. If at any time you feel somebody is coming to you and asking you for information and you're not comfortable and you don't know that person, you need to be outspoken. Immediately, if there is something wrong, if there is an uh-oh feeling, you need to go and tell either your parents or your teachers that there is something wrong happening. This could be happening in your remote classes, the distance online classes that you might be having, right? It may be happening there. It may be happening when you're chatting with your friends or when you're playing games or when you're watching a video. So there are a number of ways and reasons and places where you may feel something is not right. So the moment that feeling happens, be outspoken. Talk about it. Talk about it with your older siblings. Talk about it with your parents. Talk about it with your teachers. Be wary. Wary means be cautious. Be careful. Never, ever, ever agree to meet someone face to face without a trusted grown-up with you. Even if it seems like someone you know online, remember that 15-year-old girl and what the picture was. Because most of the time, when you're meeting somebody online and you don't know that person, there is a very high chance that that person is not who they say they are. And it is absolutely, absolutely important that if anybody online tells you to meet up, you first do not agree, do not give them your home address, do not give them mobile numbers, do not give them your flat numbers or your villa numbers, wherever you live, and you tell a grown-up instantly. Be good yourselves. Always practice good etiquette when you are in the cyberspace yourself. Because if you are good, then you can help others. If you yourself are cyberbullying somebody or you're stalking somebody, then there is a huge problem. Okay, now what do I mean by etiquettes? So in the next section, now I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about netiquettes, not really etiquettes. Netiquettes is basically the good behavior that you normally do in the physical space. You take it to the digital space or the cyberspace online, right? So network plus etiquettes becomes netiquettes. So what are these netiquettes? First, be careful of the language that you use online. Just like a physical classroom, you wouldn't be using bad words, you wouldn't be using loud words, you shouldn't be screaming. Same thing online. You should not be using bad words, you should not be screaming at somebody, because all of that could actually constitute cyberbullying. Okay, next. Don't use capital letters. Believe it or not, using capital letters means you are screaming. And you're probably not going to do that when you're in a physical classroom or a physical space. Because if you scream, you're being rude and you don't want to be rude. So same thing goes for when you're online. The moment you start typing in capital, it means you're screaming. And you shouldn't be doing that because it's extremely rude to be screaming. Anything you share online, please take attention. Anything you share online stays online forever. Forever. You may delete it, but whatever you shared, photos, videos, text, whatever it is you have shared, it will stay online forever. So be careful of what you're planning to share. Don't simply copy and paste pictures, videos, or text because it belongs to somebody else, right? So you want to be sure you're giving credit and telling everybody whose information, whose picture, whose video it is. Remember to read before and being courteous and be respectful. Don't just read something and think somebody is being rude to me. I will also get angry and I will start typing really bad things to them. It's online. Everybody is typing. You can't see each other's faces. When you're face to face and somebody jokes, you can see they're smiling, their eyes are twinkling. You know they're being naughty. But when you're not face to face and that same person might be joking with you, you might not realize and you might get very upset and very angry. So don't jump to become angry when you see something like that. Read it once, twice, thrice. If you're sure that person is being rude and they mean it, please go and tell a grown up. Tell your parents or tell your teachers. Okay, and of course, please yourself be courteous and be respectful. Do not record or take screenshots anytime without asking. Those of you who registered for this session, your parents may have already gotten the message that typically for all events that we do, we will take screenshots, we will take photos, videos. This session is being recorded. There was an announcement that came up, etc. This is how we are informing you, because you want people to know you're taking their video and you're taking their photo. If you don't, that's also part of cyberbullying. Do not share your own personal information, and definitely please do not share other people's personal information either, because it's not for you to share. Do not bully or stalk others yourself. All of this is a screenshot of all the etiquettes, behavior that you should follow when you're online, so that you can stay safe and you can make sure your friends and your brothers and sisters are also safe. So with that, we come to the end of this masterclass. I can take questions, but please type it on the chat instead of unmuting.
Hitansh, you can type in your question as ma'am said, Hitansh.
If anybody has a question, please type it.
Ma'am, I have a question, but
Please type your
Mute
questions.
your
I
mic
will
and
not
you must
answer
leave.
if you've unmuted your mics.
Mom, I don't have any question.
That's great. If you have a question, please
I
type
don't
it.
have a question.
If you have a question, please type it into the chat.
Ma'am,
Mirena,
Ma'am, someone was cyberbullying in the class while the class was happening.
What does that mean? Sorry.
Ma'am, someone was cyberbullying. Cause ma'am, they were saying like, hey, yeah, that's why you're bad at the game. They're talking about video games, and then that someone said that's why you're bad at the video game. Cyberbullying in chat.
somebody said shut up in the
Yes,
chat.
sure. For sure. You should not be mean to people. Yes. Anybody has any questions, please type into the chat. Okay, if nobody has any questions, then we have come to the end of this session. If there are any teachers, parents, and they have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Ma'am, what does harass mean?
Harass means when you're being mean to somebody, when you're being mean to someone and you're disrespecting them, that's what it means.
I want to tell you something.
ma'am, what if someone else cyberbullies and then tells that we are bullying online?
Ma'am,
You need to then report them to your teacher immediately.
Ma'am,
And someone was hacking you and then you didn't have anything
and you get cyberbullied.
so they hacked you and they got so much information. What do you do?
Then you need to tell your grown-up, either parents or your teachers, immediately.
I have one question.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, this is software you are using, this software which is Casco WebEx meetings. Are we going to use this every time?
ma'am,
No, it was just for today, darling. Just for this session.
Ma'am,
ma'am,
I also have a question.
ma'am,
One at a time, please.
Ma'am, actually my question is
I have a question.
Okay, Miss Swapnaja, what would you like to do? I'm done with the session now.
Yes, ma'am. I was just
Yes.
put the personal details on the YouTube.
No, you should not. If you are setting up a channel for yourself, make sure your parents are with you and they set it up for you so that they know how to secure your account. If anybody, anytime online is asking you for your personal information, please do not give it without
Ma'am,
your
can we leave?
parents' permission.
Can we leave? We have another meeting for school.
Yes. Now, can we
When
all
people when we get in trouble.
have
Ma'am,
Can you please tell me how to leave?
Who is that? Who's the one with the question?
It's me, Ayan.
Ayan, ask.
Question.
Game.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
How do you leave the meeting?
Is that your question? Oh, don't worry. We are going to end.
We will certainly invite you. But can we all have a big round of applause for Zeenath ma'am, everybody? You to all,
Ma'am, I
So much, everyone. We at the University of Wollongong, we are always happy to conduct these master classes for students, for parents, for teachers, because we feel these are our responsibilities as researchers and academics. These lines that we want to help the community. We want to ensure the community of education, the education community stays safe and works together for the safety of children. So thank you so much, everybody, for attending the master class today. Thank you, Ms. Swapnaja, for moderating the session, and for majority of the time for all the students who've been listening have had their mics muted.
ma'am, am I able to hear you?
Yes.
Ma'am,